silence that should have been soothing turned into an explosion of unexpected tension. In a moment that was initially ordinary, suddenly Jungkook hurled sharp words at Jimin, and in an instant Jin froze stiff, his eyes widening as if unable to believe what had just happened. A question immediately arose. What could make Jungkook, a figure often known as calm and full of self-control, choose to stop Jimin so openly? And why did Jin's reaction look so shocked, as if the event carried consequences greater than just a passing interaction? This incident occurred in a situation that seemed calm, but that was precisely what made it even more surprising. Everything went normally until Jimin uttered a sentence that, for some people, sounded trivial. Yet behind those words, something considered very sensitive was hidden. It was as if he was on the verge of leaking something that was not yet meant to be announced. Fans accustomed to the group's dynamics immediately caught the tension. There was hesitation in Jimin's voice, a burden that seemed to press his shoulders, until the words that came out were no longer mere jokes, but a kind of half-hearted confession that stirred those who heard it. Just as those words were about to be fully spoken, Jin reacted, not with laughter or jokes as usual, but with a serious expression and firm voice. He asked Jimin to be quiet, but before silence truly returned, Jungkook added a harsh warning. Unlike Jin, he didn't just stop him, but emphasized that if Jimin wanted to speak, he had to do so with great caution and only at the right time. The sentence sounded simple, but its implications were far deeper. Fans quickly realized that this was no longer about casual talk. There was something bigger behind it. Jin's reaction also became the spotlight. All this time, he was known as someone able to maintain calm, to turn tense situations light, even to mediate when things heated up. But this time was different. Jin looked truly shaken. His eyes widened, his body briefly stiffened, and his smile, which usually appeared easily, disappeared completely. That expression sparked waves of speculation. Some judged Jin knew something that must not be revealed. Others thought he felt both disappointed and afraid, worried that one sentence from Jimin could shake the balance they had worked so hard to maintain. What made this incident heavier was the way Jungkook took over the situation. He was not just the younger brother in the group's dynamics. His words were measured, firm, and strategic. Fans saw it not as an ordinary reprimand, but as a signal that something had to be hidden until the time came. Why did Jungkook, who usually smiled more and supported, suddenly appear as the most vocal figure? Was this merely a form of care for Jimin, or was there a bigger instruction he felt needed to be guarded? A look back at recent times reinforced the impression that this incident was not something that stood alone. Discussions about new projects, secret songs, even withheld statements by members had repeatedly surfaced. Fans quickly connected the puzzle pieces. Perhaps Jimin nearly leaked details that should still have been tightly kept. Or maybe those words touched an area far more personal, something maintained so as not to trigger controversy. Whatever it was, the way Jungkook stopped it and Jin's shocked face became proof that it was very serious. After the incident, a short recording began to circulate widely. Fans slowed the video, zoomed in on facial expressions, and analyzed body movements. They saw Jimin, who was initially enthusiastic, suddenly bow with an awkward expression after being scolded. They saw Jin stiff, almost voiceless, as if still processing what had just happened. And of course, they saw Jungkook, who with full control looked at Jimin, not angrily, but with firmness he rarely showed. All this made the moment far bigger than just ordinary chatter. Speculation spread further. Some said Jimin nearly leaked details about a special song to be released. Some believed the incident was related to personal stories that should not be disclosed carelessly. Others, more extreme, believed that all this was not spontaneous, but part of a strategy to create a wave of public discussion. But whatever the truth, one thing was clear. The incident successfully created a huge shock, and to this day the public continues to debate it. Fans' reactions across various platforms also showed interesting patterns. Some saw Jungkook as the savior, someone able to protect Jimin from being dragged into major consequences. Some praised Jin, even though he looked shocked, as proof that he understood how fragile the situation was. But others questioned, why was the warning delivered so openly? Not discussed privately? Was it because the situation was too urgent? Or was there another meaning behind it? Media critics viewed this event from a different angle. They judged that the moment illustrated the tremendous pressure behind the entertainment industry. Pressure to keep secrets, to restrain emotions, to ensure every word spoken did not backfire. For some, Jimin merely almost made a small mistake. But in the eyes of Jungkook and Jin, it could be the start of major consequences. With millions of eyes always watching, one sentence could turn into a global storm. That was why the moment was so shocking. Now, the debate is not only about what Jimin almost said, but also about what was actually happening among the members. Were their relationships under strain? Was there a conflict long hidden? Or was this instead a form of closeness, where harsh reprimands could be done for the sake of the group? All possibilities were open, and the absence of official clarification only made the mystery grow larger. Yet, what made this incident so strong was its lingering effect. Even though it lasted only a few seconds, the moment has been immortalized, dissected, and made into endless discussion. Jimin bowing, Jin falling silent, Jungkook scolding, everything has now become a symbol of something bigger, something not yet fully revealed. And while the public waits, one undeniable truth remains. The event has changed perceptions, added layers of mystery, and left an ever-growing question mark. What really happened behind Jungkook's reprimand to Jimin? Why was Jin so shocked, as if knowing consequences we cannot understand? Until the truth is revealed, this moment will continue to live as one of the most dramatic and mysterious incidents, a brief moment that has now become a symbol of how heavy the burden of silence is and how great the risk of a single almost spoken sentence. An event lasting only seconds has now grown into an unstoppable wave of global discussion. No longer just a moment overlooked in an interaction, but a symbol of hidden tension surrounding the members. The same questions keep echoing. What exactly did Jimin almost reveal? And why did Jungkook feel the need to stop him so openly in front of a visibly shaken Jin? After the incident, digital spaces were filled with speculation. Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and international forums all raced to dissect the event. Fans zoomed in on every movement, analyzed voice intonation, even counted the seconds when Jimin began to hesitate before finally being cut off by Jungkook. Jin, with his shocked face, was seen as the key to the whole mystery. An expression too real to be just acting, too strong to be coincidence. Public reaction was not only divided, but increasingly extreme. Some were convinced Jimin nearly leaked a big secret, perhaps a special song, a hidden project, or even something more personal and sensitive. Others judged that all this was just promotional strategy, a small drama deliberately staged to spark public discussion. But the longer it went, the harder it was to distinguish what was true and what was mere illusion. Meanwhile, entertainment industry analysts began to speak up. They highlighted how public pressure could force artists to guard secrets with military discipline. In that context, Jungkook's reaction was not just a spontaneous reprimand, but a response to huge risk. One wrong word can trigger a communication crisis, and for a group this big, crisis means losing control of the narrative, said one industry observer. This view helped the public understand further. Jungkook's reprimand was not about Jimin alone, but about maintaining the stability of the entire group. But still, the biggest question mark hung over Jin. Why did he look so shocked? Many longtime fans judged that Jin's expression was different than usual. All this time, he could always mask nervousness with a smile, or cover tension with a small laugh. But this time, there was no smile, no laugh, only pure shock that seemed to reflect the weight of secrets they bore. Some suspected Jin knew the consequences if Jimin spoke too far. Others thought Jin simply was not ready to face the possibility of something long guarded being leaked. The discussion then broadened. Did the incident reflect internal cracks? Or conversely, was it proof that they were so solid, daring to scold each other for the sake of protecting all? Fans split into two large camps. The first camp believed that the incident was a sign of emotional burden piling up, that Jimin might have been tired of holding something in and almost let it out. The second camp believed it was proof of maturity. Jimin dared to be honest, Jin reacted honestly, and Jungkook stepped in as the situation's controller. Interestingly, the longer they remained silent, the bigger the speculation grew. In the modern entertainment world, silence does not mean calming, but amplifying. Every second without clarification was seen as empty space ready to be filled with theories, rumors, and wild analysis. In the end, it was not only what Jimin almost said that was debated, but also the group's choice to remain silent. Not a few fans began to feel frustrated. "Why don't they just give a brief explanation?" wrote one international forum user. "Even one simple sentence could ease it all." But precisely because there was no clarification, curiosity grew even stronger. This phenomenon showed how powerful uncertainty is in controlling public opinion. Amid this wave, Jungkook once again became the central figure. His firm words, "If you want to talk, do it carefully, only after there is confirmation," are still debated. Confirmation from whom? What did carefully mean? Why did he choose words so specific, as if he knew what would happen if that rule were broken? Many ultimately saw Jungkook not just as the youngest brother in the group's dynamics, but as a strategist who understood risks deeper than what appeared. Meanwhile, Jimin remained the center of sympathy. Many fans felt the emotional burden he showed when he almost spoke. The awkward expression, the restrained smile, until finally bowing after being scolded. All this made many believe he was carrying something too heavy to bear alone. Was it about music? About personal journey? Or about internal dynamics not meant for the public? That question remains hanging, and behind it all, Jin's shadow never disappeared. The moment he fell silent is still replayed millions of times. Some called it the most honest expression he had ever shown in front of the camera. Others judged it as a sign that he could no longer hide his worries. Whatever the interpretation, one thing was certain: Jin did not expect it to happen, and his reaction became the symbol of the mystery still looming. Now, the incident of Jungkook's reprimand, Jin's shock, and Jimin's hesitation has grown into a global phenomenon. It is no longer just a brief moment, but a representation of something bigger, about secrets, pressures, and strategies behind the world's biggest entertainment industry. Every body movement, every glance, even every breath pause is now considered a clue that could unveil the mystery. Yet therein lay the power of this moment. Not in what truly happened, but in what was not said. Silence became the sharpest weapon. A brief reprimand turned into a major issue. A shocked expression became the subject of deep analysis. And uncertainty turned into a commodity continuously traded in public space. Till this day, there has been no official answer. No clarificación, no confirmación. What remains are ever-growing speculations, endlessly branching theories, and increasingly heated debates. One thing is certain: the incident has changed the way the public views them. No longer merely artists, but human figures trapped between secrets, strategies, and extraordinary pressures. The questions remain hanging in the air. What really happened behind that reprimand? Did Jimin almost leak something big? Did Jin know something we don't understand? And why did Jungkook, in that moment, choose to be the controller? Until answers arrive, this moment will continue to live as the greatest mystery, a symbol of the heavy burdens hidden behind the stage full of light.